In the hours past midnight on October 12, 1492, the ocean seemed restless under the cloak of darkness. The crests of the waves danced with a silvery glow under the moonlight, whispering secrets long held by the deep. On the deck of the Santa Maria, a silhouette stood, silhouetted against the dim lantern light. Christopher Columbus, eyes squinting into the abyss, felt an inexplicable attraction to a distant flicker, like a candle's flame being cradled and then swallowed by the void. This was no mythical island. It was a reality about to unfold, a narrative written by the hands of destiny. As dawn broke, the first strands of light revealed an emerald expanse. Land. The promise of riches filled the salty air, mingling with the hopes of weary sailors. Yet, beneath the surface of this anticipated discovery, an unsettling truth lay dormant. Columbus, with an air of triumph, marked the soil with a cross and a flag, oblivious to the eyes watching from the shadows of the dense foliage. The Tainos, guardians of this land for 1,000 years, their world was about to change,
and colors
irrevocably.
burst to life across the island, bringing with it a day that would be etched into the annals of history. Columbus and his men, now firmly on land, were met by curious figures materializing from the forest, their skin kissed by the sun, eyes wide with intrigue and innocence. The Tainos approached cautiously, bearing gifts of vibrant parrots, woven cotton, and exotic fruits, offerings of peace to these strange newcomers. To them, these pale-skinned men, shimmering like ethereal beings under the tropical sun, were perhaps gods descended from the sky. Columbus reciprocated with red hats and beads, a gesture of friendship, or perhaps manipulation. The air was thick with unspoken words as two cultures met in a silent dance of confusion and curiosity.
Days turned into weeks, and Columbus's initial fascination shifted to a feverish pursuit of gold. The forests, once a paradise of tranquility and abundance, became a labyrinth of restless desires. Columbus, driven by greed, envisioned the golden treasures that would secure his place in the annals of Spain's glory. The Tainos, observing the Spaniards' obsession, couldn't fathom this relentless drive. Gold, to them, held no more allure than the rocks lining the riverbeds. Yet their world started to tremble, like a silent volcano on the verge of eruption. Their land, their lives, became pawns in an unfolding saga of exploitation. As Christmas loomed with its promise of peace, darkness descended instead. The Santa Maria, the heart of Columbus's expedition, faltered and sank beneath the waves, a premonition of things to come. The sailors left behind at La Navidad, intoxicated by power and desire, began to unravel the fragile fabric of coexistence. Their transgressions, acts of violence and theft, turned the Tainos from allies to adversaries. The chief Canabo, a figure both regal and formidable, could no longer bear the desecration of his people and land. The decision to strike was born not from malice, but from a desperate need to protect, to reclaim what was theirs. Under the night sky, the flames of rebellion ignited, consuming the fort and the men who had wronged them.
Columbus returned, a man hardened by the rigors of the sea, only to find ashes where La Navidad had stood. The betrayal cut deep, a wound carved not just in his expedition, but in his ego. The Spaniards' vengeance was swift and brutal. They built fortifications, symbols of their might, and unleashed a wave of terror upon the Tainos. The fields, once fertile under the Tainos' care, lay barren. Hunger gnawed at the edges of survival, driving both conquerors and natives into desperation. Columbus, driven by revenge, imposed a quota of gold that was beyond reach, and when the tributaries failed, the punishments were horrific. Severed hands lay as grim tokens of Spanish tyranny. Years swept by, carrying the echoes of despair and resistance. In the hills, where whispers of freedom still lingered, Ana Cayona and Enrique became symbols of defiance. Anacaona, regal and unyielding, refused to submit.
The tale of
her
the
spirit
Tainos is a
unbroken,
haunting melody
even
of a
when
culture
faced with the
extinguished
Spanish
yet
governor's
immortalized.
treachery.
It
Her
resonates with the
execution,
story
a
of the
martyrdom,
Ainu, the
solidified
indigenous
her
people
legend.
of Japan, who also
Enrique,
endured
a
the clash of
survivor of the
civilizations
fiery
and
massacre
the inevitable
that claimed
tide
his
of
father,
change.
rose
Both
from the
stories
ashes.
echo the same
His
heartache
revolt
and
was
the
not
same
of rage,
resilience.
but of resilience.
And so,
In
dear
the
listener,
mountains,
as we
his
unravel
followers
these
forged
threads of
a
history,
sanctuary,
one
a
question
bastion
lingers in the
against
shadows
oppression.
of our minds.
Their knowledge
How
of the
do we
terrain was their
reconcile the
armor,
legacies we
their
inherit
resolve,
with the
their
paths
weapon.
we forge?
Enrique's
In the chilling
legacy was
silence of
freedom.
extinction,
Freedom
what
from the
voices still
chains
whisper
of
beneath
tyranny.
the sands of time?
The guardians of the Caribbean may have vanished, but their spirit endures, woven into the tapestry of history. Their story, much like the tales of Eastern folklore, is a reminder that even in the dark, there is light in remembrance. The haunting echoes of their plight beckon us to listen, to learn, and to remember, lest we too become shadows of history. And now, I leave you with this chilling reflection. The last breath of a culture is not silence, but a whisper that might still linger closer than we dare to imagine.